Hey everyone, welcome to KSSP Podcast. I'm Spencer.
And I'm Katie. And today we are going to be talking about LGBTQ rights, the whole groomer conspiracy. We're gonna delve into a couple different topics today with that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start off. This is Liz Wheeler from OAN, Gay Wedding Cakes and Bigots. Appropriately titled. I don't think the content's gonna match that, but we'll see. Captions are on. All right.
Welcome back. Let's talk about discrimination here. What is discrimination? We have the North Carolina laws about transgender people using bathrooms specific to the gender on their birth certificate rather than the gender they identify with now. That's causing an uproar. Celebrities like Bruce Springsteen, Bryan Adams, Nick Jonas, Demi Lovato, Jimmy Buffett, they've all canceled concerts in North Carolina. They call the law hateful, discriminatory. They ignore the fact that the law is not even about transgender people themselves. It's about predators, perverts, pedophiles pretending to be transgender to prey on defenseless women or children. So what is real discrimination then? In Colorado, a man by the name of Jack Phillips baked cakes for a living. He called his store Masterpiece Cake Shop. But in 2012, two gay men approached him, asked him to bake a cake for their gay wedding. Was it discrimination for Jack Phillips to decline to bake that cake because he morally opposed gay marriage?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, like, why would you even start a business if you're gonna discriminate against that never makes sense to me either. Because why do you care too? Because that's just making money.
Right.
Like, you're missing out on money by doing that.
And okay, if you don't want to bake if you don't want to bake wedding cakes for gay couples, then maybe you just shouldn't be in the wedding industry. You know, maybe if you want to start a business, just start another business where you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and I highly doubt God is gonna judge you for making a wedding cake for a gay couple.
Right. I don't think he would really care, or
no. Oh yeah, whatever.
I don't think God would really care about that. I think God's got bigger things on their mind.
Yeah.
Is discrimination. It is discrimination, in my opinion, to deny service to someone because they're gay. That's not nice, it's not necessary, and selling donuts to a gay man doesn't constitute your stamp of approval or your enabling even of his lifestyle. It's...
Yeah. Okay, it sounds reasonable so far.
Yeah.
Simply selling breakfast to a customer. But herein lies the difference. Jack Phillips was told by a court he couldn't decline to bake the cake because of his religious beliefs, even though he wasn't denying service to the two men because they were gay. He was...
Wait, yes, he was.
That's the reason that he was. That's his religious belief. Like,
right. The religious belief is to deny these people based on the fact that they're gay. Like, if that's not what it is, then what? Why did he refuse some service then? You know,
if it's not because they're gay, is it because they're non-Christian? But then, so is he just not servicing anyone who's non-Christian?
Right. Exactly.
But no, that's not what. Yeah,
the religious belief, in heavy air quotes there, is that he can't support a gay wedding. It's because they are gay. Yes.
Yeah.
Simply declining to take part in a gay wedding. Very different.
No.
So what is discrimination then? Liberal politicians are using this issue. They're harnessing emotion to tell us what we can and can't believe. You don't have a right to oppose gay marriage, the courts told Jack Phillips. You can't bake wedding cakes if you don't actively take part in gay weddings. You can't worry about the safety of little girls in bathrooms being preyed on by pedophiles, liberals tell us.
Okay, well, first of all, these are two different topics. I don't know why we're going back and forth. And I don't think pedophiles care if they're allowed in the bathroom or not. I think if you're at the point where you're sexually assaulting anyone, let alone a child, you're already breaking the law. That stuff is illegal. I don't think they're going to care if they're in the right bathroom when that's not even, whether or not there's legislation there.
Yeah.
Unless you want to be labeled as a bigot, a hater, a racist, homophobic, or transphobic.
Wait, racist? What? No one said anything.
I think she's just bringing it all up today.
Right. This is just all harnessed inside of her.
Well, you know what? Liberals don't have to approve of our religious beliefs. They don't have to agree with them. They don't even have to like them. But when government, propelled by progressive politicians like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Bernie Sanders, and all the rest of them, when they deny Jack Phillips his right to practice his religion the way he sees fit, that's real discrimination.
No. Okay, so
preventing him from practicing religion.
So, okay, let's say there's an interracial couple coming into your cake shop, and you say, no, my religious beliefs tell me that interracial couples are not okay, and I should not support an interracial wedding. Like, it's the same legal standpoint there. Like, we've decided that the civil rights of people kind of over, they're a tier. What's the word? They're basically, it's more important that we respect people's civil liberties than it is that we respect supposed religious freedoms that, like, I'm fine with religious freedom. That's great. I love religious freedom, but when you use your religion as a weapon to discriminate against people, then that's not accepted legally or morally.
That's my final point. Reach me on Twitter at Liz_Wheeler. If you liked the show, please send me an email at oann.com/contact. Be sure to catch Tipping Point again tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern.
All right, so that was the first video. That just to briefly bring up the whole wedding cake situation there, because I know it's. And then
there's that case right now, and this, I don't know where that's at. I guess right now, but with that wedding designer. Why is it always weddings? They're always, if you're against weddings, if you're against any type of wedding, whether it's interracial or gay, then don't get into the wedding business, because that's
right.
Why would you get into a business where you're going to have to serve those people if you don't support it? Just don't get into that business at all.
It would be like becoming a doctor if you absolutely did not care about the healthcare of people like smokers or people who overeat or something. It would be like becoming a doctor and then going into your field and saying, well, I'm not going to medically help you because you were a smoker and you gave yourself lung cancer. Maybe don't be in that business if you're going to take issue with these kinds of things.
Because nobody is forcing you to be in the wedding business either. You made that choice.
Exactly.
And by making that choice, there's laws that say you have to treat everyone with respect, regardless of if you agree with their decision.
Exactly.
And you made that choice to get into that business, so you have to follow those laws. They're not discriminatory towards you because nobody is forcing you to get into that business.
Exactly. All right, and then this video is a Tucker Carlson clip. Why the trans community is running everything. Or why, I guess he's framing like a question. Why is the trans community running everything? So let's see. They're taking over, folks.
Not so long ago, it was a feature of high school biology class that biological sex is biologically real. It's detectable at the DNA level. You are born with it. You don't get to choose it. Just as you don't get to choose your height or your eye color, your susceptibility to breast cancer, or a million other things. It's genetic. Genetics are real. Maybe unfortunately, but doesn't change the truth of it. But now, that's hate speech. In his new...
Whoa, okay, no, it's not. No one is denying biological sex, bro.
No.
It's not hate speech. Okay.
Special, Dave Chappelle, the comedian, explains what happens when you challenge this lunatic new orthodoxy.
Cancel people that are more powerful than me. Cancel J.K. Rowling. My God, J.K. Rowling wrote all the Harry Potter books by herself. She sold so many books, the Bible worries about her. And they canceled her because she said in an interview, and this is not exactly what she said, but effectually, she said gender was a fact. And then the trans community got mad as they started calling her a TERF. I didn't even know what that was. But I know that trans people make up words to win arguments.
Okay, no. A TERF is not a made-up word. First of all, it's an acronym. It stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. It's basically the ideology where you are, it's like, I think it's second wave feminism typically, but like it is, the basic idea behind, the TERF ideology is that trans women are not women and that they are actually appropriating womanhood, and that it to them it's like a spit, like they're spitting in the face of feminism because they're choosing to be a woman when they're born male. That is the TERF ideology.
That's their rationale.
Right.
Um,
Which is ridiculous
but
because
I'm
trans
also,
people would face more discrimination than cisgender women. But
and I'm also, I feel like she said worse things than just gender is real.
oh, she did.
Yeah, I'm
She
pretty
said
sure
some
she's
terrible things about trans people. Like, let's see if I can pull something up here. I just want to see the tweet. Let me see. Oh, let's see what this one says. If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. No one's denying sex is real. Okay, but if sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability to fully discuss their lives. The idea is that women like me who've been empathetic to trans people for decades. Okay, let me see. Trying to find something.
And I mean, if she hasn't said anything worse, then I was wrong. But I just feel like
I know she said stuff.
Huh?
I was saying I know she said some pretty bad stuff on
Oh, you do? Okay. But either way, I think she's just misguided regardless, because nobody's saying sex isn't real. It's gender identity. She just needs to educate herself on gender identity, which is different from sex. That's all you got to do. And then people might respect you again, It's not hard.
Let's see. I'm going to look for just a sec here, but if I don't find anything, we can move on here.
Okay.
You can always cut this out too. But, okay. God, she had a really bad one. I can't find it. I don't remember what she said.
I mean, if her views are changing, though, that's good too, because that's growth. But we all need to respect people. I mean, she needs to respect people, and then people need to respect her too. It's a two-way street, but if she's not respecting people, then she can't expect
Oh, wow. Okay, here's one. She says, quote, people who menstruate. I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wumben, Wimpund, Wumund? Opinion, creating a more equal post-COVID-19 world for people who menstruate. So she's basically just saying only women menstruate.
Yeah, there it just sounds like she's trying to get a rise out of people,
right.
Really. She's not.
Right. She's not being sympathetic.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
Well, that's the truest thing ever said. Making up words to win arguments. You see that in a lot of places now.
I'm pretty sure, I would imagine Tucker Carlson knows what a turf is. And, he's just playing
I guess
this.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've heard the term, but I didn't know until you explained it. But
oh, yeah, no. But he's like a political commentator who's been doing this for decades. So I would imagine he's come across the term.
Yeah, but
like I wouldn't imagine every person on the street would know necessarily, but I would think Tucker Carlson would have heard of it.
He might have heard of it, but he probably always assumed it was fake, a made-up
word. Maybe. That's true. That's a possibility.
So none of that's particularly radical. It's pretty conventional, really. 4 years ago, no one would have noticed it. But now, a number of Netflix employees have decided to protest the special. They want it pulled off of the service. Then they harassed a man who came to support Chappelle and freedom of speech. Watch this.
Accountability! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Accountability! When do we want it? Now!
It's okay to laugh, but you're sparking hate conversation. Why is he breaking my sign? He's got a weapon! He's got a weapon!
So they break his sign, and then they accuse him, he's left holding only a stick, accuse him of having a weapon. So his speech is violence, their violence is speech. See how that works?
His speech is violence, their violence is speech. I don't know if I'd call that violence necessarily. I mean, I guess very vaguely, but I mean, they weren't like, punching him in the face or anything. They just tore his sign apart. Which, you could say that's vandalism or property damage if you really wanted to, but...
Well, I think that's just the problem with all of it, I guess, is that there's no communication. There's just... And I'm not saying that it's their fault for, doing that, or that I'm not there. I wasn't in that situation. I don't know if they tried to talk to the people first, or if they just automatically jumped into tearing down a sign. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, to me, that's just... It does not... Violence isn't going to fix anything, and I know that historically one side has not been open to listening to the other side. I understand that, so I'm not saying it's not.
And speech can be violence, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what hate speech is. And verbal assault, that's literally what...
Stochastic terrorism and all that. Calls to violence. You can definitely... Speech can be violence. It's not like the two are mutually exclusive.
No.
What's interesting is that the number of people who really care about this issue enough to assault someone over it is tiny. And yet they have disproportionate power. 350 million people in the country, maybe 1,100 feel that way, but they're running everything. Why?
Wait, 1,100, 350 million. It's more than 1,100 people who are trans in the country, I think, and then there's people who support trans people who also have this view. I think trans people make up maybe 1.5 million. It's something around that number. In the US.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's more than 1,100 people though.
Yeah.
Come on, Tucker. This is a news channel. It's supposed to be. Let's get the facts right.
Is that? Well, Seth Dillon might know the answer. He's CEO of the Babylon Bee, one of the very few remaining satire sites on the entire internet. He joins us tonight. Seth, thanks so much for coming on. So you this stuff's in your face every single day. You're the target of a lot of this. You got to wonder, the people trying to destroy your business and your life, they're a tiny percentage of Americans, aren't they?
They are, but they wield all the power. This is the funny thing, they really are the joke at this point, because they try to project themselves as being marginalized. These are the marginalized. These are the oppressed. Yes, exactly. But you can't make fun of them. The way that
Yeah, I mean, typically we don't want to make fun of the marginalized and the oppressed, you know? Like, I don't get why that's so laughable for them and why that doesn't make sense to them.
Yeah.
That you can tell who holds all the power in a society is by who you can't make fun of, right?
What? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
The people who have the most power are the people you can't make fun of? Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said something like that.
Right.
I guess I don't really. I mean, I can say maybe if someone made fun of Hitler, then that wouldn't have been tolerated. But the
Right.
trans people don't have that kind of power. They're not locking people
Right.
up or in prison for making fun of them. You're just disrespecting them, and like you are doing that on TV, and then you're saying that they're controlling it. Like you're
Right.
literally
How
on
many,
TV right now doing that, making fun of them.
I'll say with it, how many trans people run our government? How many trans people are in positions of government power?
Are
You know,
any of them?
I
Are
think there
there
might
some?
be a couple, like one or two senators, maybe.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's good.
Yeah, this was in 2022, just after our last election we had. James Rosner is the first out trans man elected to a U.S.
Okay.
state legislator. So yeah, just an
And what are
idea of
they
how.
doing?
What are they doing?
Yeah, what are they doing?
Like in this video that
No,
they're.
no, no. What are trans people doing?
Oh, you mean? Oh, okay, yeah. Like
What
right,
are they doing? What rights are they taking away?
right. Who are they trying to hurt?
I mean, if they're this
Nobody.
oppressive power, what are they doing? I
Right. Like who
just
are
don't.
they oppressing?
I don't see it, but
Right? Who are they marginalizing and who are they oppressing? I don't really think that's happening. Oh, and I do. Just because he keeps bringing this up, the trans population in the U.S. Well, Pew Research says about 5% of young adults in the U.S. So, let's see.
Reuters says 1.6 million right below that.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I was going to do the math. But yeah,
Oh.
1.6 million. That's more than some states, you know. That's a higher population than some of the states we have. So, it's more than 1,100 people.
Well, that's way more than 1,100 people.
Right.
But
is by who you can't make fun of, right?
That's right.
These are the people that you can't make fun of. So it's very clear they hold all the institutional power in our culture. And it's really.
What? No, they don't. Anyways, they do not hold all the institutional power. We just went over this.
Interesting. You know, when you've got comedians like Chappelle, you got to worry about now when you're telling jokes, you don't just ask yourself, is this funny? You have to ask yourself, is this joke going to offend somebody who's more powerful than me but identifies as being marginalized because I might lose my career?
wait, if you pause it.
Yeah.
I feel like regardless if somebody has power or not, you should always just be conscientious. I don't know. You should be aware of whether or not your jokes are going to offend people if you're out there making jokes. You shouldn't only worry if they're going to offend someone in power. You should be
right. You should be conscious of
everyone. And I'm not saying that means that we can't make jokes, but I mean, make a better joke. If you're actually a good comedian, you don't have to make offensive jokes. Offensive jokes aren't even funny. They're weak jokes.
There's some offensive jokes that I've found funny. I'm not gonna lie, but I also
they're still weak jokes in my opinion.
There's offensive jokes, and then there's just disguising hate speech as jokes. You know, they're like disguising hate speech as jokes is a different thing than telling an offensive joke. Like an offensive joke might shock you, but it's still ultimately critical of a bad thing, I would hope. You know, like jokes are like we can use jokes in an offensive way to like criticize society, but we don't need to be, using jokes as a way to tear people down. Like, that shouldn't be the main point of the joke.
And if you have to use looks or some other aspect of a person to make your joke, then you're not funny.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if I guess I just don't consider jokes criticizing the institutions offensive because they're just calling out the reality, in my opinion.
Right.
But I guess I see what you're saying. Like, maybe the institution itself would find it offensive, but then that institution just should learn from that joke. But I feel like most jokes that they use against trans people are just insulting trans people. They're not calling anything out that needs to change. All they're doing is insulting
and we don't
them.
need to call out trans people for them to change.
No, because they're not.
Because they are a marginalized community. It's
Yeah.
not identifying as no, they are a marginalized community. That's just a fact.
And they're not trying to control anything. Like,
right. They're just trying to gain basic human rights.
They're just trying to live.
Yeah, they're just trying to live their best life. They're not trying to hurt nobody.
So is that, I mean, your site manages to be consistently funny, and I think probably most of our viewers get, Babylon Bee headlines texted to them at least once a day. How big a concern is that for you? I mean, do you feel like you're right on the edge of getting your business taken away from you?
Well, I mean, that's the goal, right? There's like 10 different ways they're trying to attack comedy.
Wait, that's
one of them. It's not even intentional. They're making reality absurd. That whole opening you did with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and all these videos and how fake they are. Like, it's impossible to satirize that. These people are beyond parody. Totally They've turned reality into a parody of itself. So that's.
See, that's kind of ironic coming from Fox News, but okay.
One way. Then there's the intentional way. They fact check jokes. They try to rate them false. They can get them taken down for misinformation. Then they try to accuse you of hate speech under the guise of satire or comedy, like what they're doing with Chappelle and saying that his jokes are beyond the pale. They hurt people. But really, it's the joke police. It's the people who are saying, oh, his jokes hurt my feelings. Those are the people. They deserve to be mocked more, not less, because it's just silly to act like joke police.
Oh, my God.
I'm pretty sure there's this thing called being an adult that if you hurt someone's feelings, you can own up to that.
Right. And if, you make a tasteless joke, like, if you own up to it and you apologize, and that's fine,
Yeah.
And I love this little thing down, the little headline where it says, oh, wait, it changed. But there was one, it said, like, something about, like, what was it? It was, I'm offended. Time to cancel everything that is funny.
Oh.
Well, I don't think that, like, just because you think something's funny doesn't mean funny is an objective term.
Yes.
So, like, how would, even if that was actually what was going on, like, how would you even rally around that? Like, everyone's going to have a different view of what's funny, but that doesn't excuse bigoted behavior.
And I'm pretty sure if a large percentage of the population is telling you your joke's not funny, that says more about you and the joke than it does the population.
Right.
Like, exactly. They're not trying to cancel you because you're not funny. They're just telling you you're not funny. Like, right. It's just a fact at that point. I mean, yes, humor is objective, or subject. I always get those two words switched up, but
yeah,
humor is going to be personal. Like, everyone's going to have their own personal opinion on what they find funny.
Exactly, yeah.
But if a lot of the population is telling you you're not funny and you're offensive, then I think
it's something to
consensus is there.
At least.
Yeah.
And because, like, yeah, I wouldn't say it's always the case. Because, like, you could say that for the other side, though. Like if I made if I made like a joke about like Donald Trump or something, and then all the Trump supporters were like, that's offensive, and they got all riled up and butthurt about it. That wouldn't necessarily mean that they're right either. Although it's still something I could reflect on, maybe.
Yeah. But it's not only trans people saying this about
right,
their jokes.
Exactly.
So that's I guess true. If people who didn't support Trump said then that your joke was distasteful, then yes, I would probably say it was. But even if you found it funny, it's still, because we don't need to be distasteful when we're joking, in my opinion.
The thing with humor is that there's always a kernel of truth to any good joke. Like a joke that really resonates with people is going to be, like that's kind of what humor does. It resonates with people based on like a kernel of truth and maybe some hyperbole, or there's all kinds of ways you can make the joke your own. But like, so if you're making jokes tearing down trans people, like there is a part of you that does feel that you're above them in that case. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
satire comedy, like what they're doing with Chappelle and saying that his jokes are beyond the pale, they hurt people. But really, it's the joke police. It's the people who are saying, "Oh, his jokes hurt my feelings." Those are the people, they deserve to be mocked more, not less, because it's just silly to act like joke police. Like jokes really are like violence. Really, like you said earlier.
I mean, jokes can be violence depending on what the joke is. Like if you're joking about like assassinating the president, like maybe someone should look into that, even if it's just a joke. Like, there's always a kernel of truth to good humor, at least. Like, like a joke about something no one can relate to isn't going to get a lot of laughs.
Yeah, definitely.
The speech is now violence, and the violence is speech. Jokes are not violent. They don't hurt anybody. If we're all equal, we should all be able to joke about each other indiscriminately.
That would be lovely if we were all equal, because then we could joke about each other indiscriminately, but we're not all equal. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like if we lived in a purely egalitarian society where everybody is equal, then yeah, I wouldn't have such a problem with, like certain kinds of, although
but I don't,
it doesn't mean that jokes could never be problematic, because there would still be problematic jokes running around, but it wouldn't be such a huge issue.
But their jokes aren't indiscriminate either. They really discriminate to make the joke.
That's true too, yeah.
So yeah, I guess with his knowledge or his logic, yeah, if you make indiscriminatory jokes, then sure. But you don't do that. You guys don't do that. You make a joke at the expense of other people, and that's not funny.
Exactly.
Unless it's like yourself. Like obviously if you're making fun of like yourself,
like
that's
self-deprecating
different.
humor.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to say like ban all jokes that, are targeted towards certain people, or like we should never tell jokes that maybe target certain, because it just really depends on a lot of context. And like, there's a certain level, I think, of, making fun of others and jokes that might be okay. Like, if it's something lighthearted and it's not like, you're not attacking marginalized communities, you're not like, attacking, like if you're attacking someone's like ideology because like they're terrible or something, like I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like if, like you making a joke about like if you made a joke about Hitler, like that, like you said, like, oh, like he's so ugly, whatever, that's the joke. Like I wouldn't have a problem with something like that necessarily. Or like, like,
I guess I don't know if I would find it funny, because it's just talking about it. But if you criticize his dictatorship, then yeah, that's something. But like his looks, I guess to me is just like, okay, like he can't help his looks, but he could have not done what he did. So yeah, we can make fun of that for sure. He could not have been a dictator. But like looks are just
if like I think that's just me. I agree with you for the most part. I really do. Like for most cases, I would say making fun of looks is pretty stupid and like pretty unproductive and just not like cool. But I think if it's someone like as bad as Hitler, I really wouldn't care, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I guess I don't care. Truthfully, like, I don't care. Like, but I don't find it funny.
Yeah.
So
Like, I might make fun of Tucker Carlson's concentration face, for example. Like, I'm sorry. I just think that's a really funny face he makes when he's trying to concentrate on listening to somebody. But, like, I understand that humor is not going to be for everybody. And ultimately, like, he's harming the world more than I'm harming him. So, like, I guess that's how I would justify it.
Yeah.
But, like, it's a more productive way of communication through jokes attacking what people do, the things they can't control, like their ideology and what actions they're taking in the world and whatnot.
Yeah.
And not have this like hierarchical structure where we have certain people who are off limits and we can't joke about them.
If we're all equal, boy, you got right to the heart of it there. If we're all equal, only in a country where we're all considered equals can that happen. But we're not that country anymore. You're exactly right. Seth,
what do you mean anymore? We were never
what?
that country, bro. What are you talking about? Well, maybe for you because you're, a straight cisgender white man comes from the Swanson family, has a huge fortune behind you. Like, maybe the world used to seem equal to you because you had so much privilege, and now other people have gained privilege over those years and you feel attacked. You feel like you're losing something when you're not.
Yeah.
But okay. At least you acknowledge that we're not an equal country, I suppose.
Dillon, I appreciate your coming on and your site, which I love. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey,
Oh, God, no. Get away from me, Sean Hannity. We're done. Have you seen that clip with him with the belt?
With the what?
Oh, we'll have to watch. I'll send that to you sometime. Yeah, there's a clip where he's talking about how he used to get hit as a child and he turned out fine. And then he takes off his belt and he like whips it on the table. He's like, my dad used to hit me like this. Wham, wham.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, I'll have to send you that sometime.
Yikes.
Oh, it's so funny. He's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on here. This is National Library of Medicine, one of my favorite sources. So this is same-sex and different-sex parent households and the child health outcomes, findings from the National Survey of Children's Health. So, okay. We'll go over the methodology really quick here. The parent and child characteristics were matched for 95 female same-sex parent and 95 different-sex parent households with children 6 to 17 years. So lesbian parents and then hetero couple parents. And then one parent per household was interviewed by telephone. Multivariate analysis of variance and multiple linear regressions were conducted. So no differences were observed between household types on family relationships or any child outcomes. Same-sex parent households scored higher on parenting stress than different sex parent households. No significant interactions between household type and family relationships or household type and parenting stress were found on any child outcomes. So children with female same-sex parents and different sex parents demonstrated no difference in outcomes, despite female same-sex parents reporting more parenting stress. Further studies may reveal the source of this parenting stress. Now, okay, what I would think might at least contribute to that, I would maybe say that the stress might be financial in some cases, just because on an average, women tend to earn less money than men do. So, I mean, I would think that would be a contributing factor, but obviously I don't have data to show that, but that would just be my hypothesis, I guess.
And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some stress with the fact that people go around saying that same-sex relationships aren't as effective as heteronormative relationships as in parenting. So then you have that added stress, like that psychological stress that is completely inaccurate. And just the way that LGBTQ people are treated I guess I don't know if this was in America. I don't know if that study was in America, but I mean, I don't think they are treated much better worldwide. I mean, maybe in some countries they're treated a little better, but I don't think they have I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't
It
know other
depends on the
countries'
country,
rights,
yeah,
but
because some are obviously going to be treated a lot worse
well,
too.
yeah.
But I mean, yeah, there's definitely countries that are more tolerant of that sort of thing.
But even those countries, I guess they may be more like, I just feel like in those countries, even if they are more tolerant, they still don't fully accept. Not that they don't accept it, but they still feel like heteronormative is still the normal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas all of every relation, like all of these relationships,
Mm-hmm.
mom, dad, or mom, dad are normal.
Yeah.
One isn't better than the other. But I feel
Right.
like even if
Exactly.
you are tolerant of a mom relationship, you still think a mom dad relationship is better, but that's wrong.
Right. Because it's not about the genders of the parents. It's about how each individual parent
Yes.
and how they're parenting their children. It doesn't like having two moms or two dads isn't gonna like destroy your household inherently. Like, you know.
No. It's all about how they are together too. I think
Yeah,
the
that
parents'
in the
relationship
dynamic.
makes a
Yeah,
huge difference on how they raise their kids
that's
too. Because
true.
if you're stressed all the time with each other, then how can you raise a kid together in a
Yeah,
good role models if you're fighting all the time too? Like that isn't
exactly.
what you just got to sometimes think what example you're setting for your kids too. I think,
Right.
and all relationships, men and women and women, or men and men. It doesn't matter about
Mhm.
that. It
Yeah.
just matters about raising your kid, I guess, is what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah, true. And then there's a Wikipedia article here, the LGBT grooming conspiracy theory. Since early 2020s, conservatives and members of the far right, mostly in the US, have falsely accused LGBT people, as well as their allies and progressives in general, of systemically using LGBT positive education and campaign for LGBT rights as a method of child grooming. These accusations and conspiracy theories are characterized by experts as baseless, homophobic, and transphobic, and as examples of moral panic. So the overview, the term groomer is derived from the practice of child grooming, but conservatives are using it to imply that LGBTQ community, their allies, and liberals more generally are pedophiles or pedophile enablers. Research has shown that LGBT people do not molest children at higher rates than non-LGBT people. So the origins. So in 1977, Anita Bryant and the Save Our Children coalition often described homosexuality as allegedly being harmful to children, while they were attempting to repeal an ordinance that partly banned discrimination based on sexuality. Bryant claimed homosexuals cannot reproduce, so they must recruit the youth of America. Ugh.
What?
Gross. That's pretty awful.
Yeah, that's. Ugh.
And then the term OK Groomer originated in 2020 as a play on the term OK Boomer meme. The UK conspiracy theory began to be popularized with the gender critical movement around 2020. Let's see. So, okay. Following the We Spa controversy in July 2021, Julia Serrano noted a rise in false accusation of grooming directed towards transgender people. Oh, and then we'll talk more about the libs of TikTok because they really popularized this. And the libs of TikTok falsely claim that the Trevor Project. Do you know what the Trevor Project is?
No. I
Okay,
guess it says right there, doesn't it?
yeah, the American nonprofit org founded in '98 focused on suicide prevention efforts among gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth. They offer a toll-free telephone number where confidential assistance is provided by trained counselors.
Okay.
So they claimed it was a grooming organization, and later in the year falsely claimed that Chasten Buttigieg was grooming kids. Which, is that Pete Buttigieg?
I think, is that his husband?
Husband? Yeah, yep, that's his
Okay.
husband. So, yeah, claimed that he was grooming kids. A conspiracy theory then moved into the American conservative mainstream with a number of high-profile cases of its use in spring 2022, including its use by members of the Republican Party. The Heritage Foundation issued a tweet stating that the Florida Don't Say Gay bill, which we'll talk about in a little bit, protects young children from sexual grooming. So, yeah, this is all, let's see, Marjorie Taylor Greene referred to the Democratic Party as the party of killing babies, grooming and transitioning children, and pro-pedophile politics. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a little bit of a conspiracy.
I know they don't, but I'm going to ask anyways. Do they have any evidence to back up these claims?
Oh, I highly doubt it. I mean, I think this is, like they said, is a moral panic. It's just
so
they
can
based off of nothing.
So they can just go around calling whoever they want groomers without evidence, and people believe them.
Right, and then that's somehow not defamation against anybody.
But then if you go call Christians groomers, then there's uproar.
Right. Of course, even though there's literally more evidence to suggest that grooming occurs within, let's say, religious communities than within the LGBTQ community. But, we'll just ignore the Catholic Church and all that.
And I guess even with that, let's say they do have evidence. I'm not going to claim that LGBT people can't be groomers. That's wrong.
I mean,
anybody can be a groomer.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we're not going to, in that same rationale, well, a straight I don't know a straight person who was, but I've seen a story of a straight person being a groomer. Does that mean all straight people are groomers? If we're using the same rationale that you have evidence of one LGBTQ person being a groomer, and you're saying all trans people are groomers because of that one anecdotal story. Well, I mean, all straight people are groomers then too, based off that logic. Hell, everyone's a groomer based off of that logic.
Yeah, anyone's a groomer then based off that logic.
What are they?
So
I get it's a moral panic. Yeah, it's not real. It's
So numerous right-wing pundits have described the behavior of parents and teachers who support minors in their transgender identities as grooming, and the term groomer has widely been used by conservative media and politicians who want to denounce the LGBTQ community and its allies by implying that they are pedophiles or pedophile enablers. So Slate magazine later described the word grooming as the buzzword of the season. Laura Ingraham claimed that schools were becoming grooming centers for gender identity radicals, dedicating an entire segment of her show to the topic a couple weeks later. So left-leaning media watchdog Media Matters published a study stating that within a 3-week period from March 17th to April 6th, Fox News ran 170 segments on trans people, throughout which the network repeatedly invoked the long-debunked myth that trans people pose a threat to minors and seek to groom them. So let's see, that's less than a month. That's what, 3 weeks or so? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? 170 segments. And then, of course, protesters target drag queen story hour events, which I think is pretty cool, but,
Not them targeting them, but...
Not the target. I'm not targeting them. Sorry, the drag queen story hours themselves. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
They've been targeted on Fox News. Chris Rufo characterized child-friendly drag as an attempt to sexualize children, subvert the middle-class family, which I don't know how, but okay then. I don't know how that would happen.
What does that mean?
How do I describe it? So subvert, undermine the power and authority of. So basically taking away power from middle-class families.
I don't think middle-class families have power anyways.
Right, and I don't think drag queen story hour has any effect on the middle class.
How would it?
That doesn't even make any sense. And then he also says it eliminates what they call the sexual hierarchy in favor of creating a sexual connection between adult and child.
No.
What?
I don't think anybody is okay with that.
Yeah, no. I don't think so either. Let's see. 500 most influential hateful grooming tweets were seen 72 million times. And it also stated that grooming tweets from just 10 influential sources were seen 48 million times. So Meta, formerly known as Facebook, has accepted up to roughly $25,000 for advertisements which push the grooming conspiracy theory. The advertisements have been served to users over 2.1 million times, and Twitter, despite saying that groomer slurs were violations of its hate speech policy, failed to act on 99% of the tweets which were reported as such. The report also recorded a 406% increase in the use of tweets associating members of the LGBTQ community with being groomers, pedophiles, and predators following the passage of Florida's Parental Rights and Education Act, called the Don't Say Gay law by its critics. So yeah, that's just a little history there of the conspiracy. Now we can talk about libs of TikTok. Oh, look at these lovely faces. All our favorite people. All right, on March, and this is written in 2022. All right. On March 8th, a Twitter account called Libs of TikTok posted a video of a woman teaching sex education to children in Kentucky, calling the woman in the video a predator. The next evening, the same clip was featured on Laura Ingraham's Fox News program, prompting the host to ask, when did our public schools, any schools, become what are essentially grooming centers for gender identity radicals? Libs of TikTok reposts a steady stream of TikTok videos and societal media posts, primarily from LGBTQ plus people, often including incendiary framing designed to generate outrage. Videos shared from the account quickly found their way to the most influential names in right-wing media. The account has emerged as a powerful force on the internet, shaping right-wing media, impacting anti-LGBTQ plus legislation, and influencing millions by posting viral videos aimed at inciting outrage among the right. All right. And the anonymous account's impact is deep and far-reaching. Well, it's not anonymous anymore. She got doxxed.
Yeah. Well, she doxed herself, so no one doxed her.
Oh, I thought someone else doxed her. Well, I guess technically.
I guess I don't know. Maybe someone doxed her and then she went on Fox News, but she went on Fox News.
Someone went to her house or something and found out who she was, I think.
Oh.
And filmed her.
And then that's why she did an interview?
I don't know about the interview. I would assume so.
I swear she did an interview. I don't know. We'll have to look that up. Maybe I'm misspeaking. I don't know. I thought she did an interview and that's how people found out who she was. I thought that's how it happened. I didn't know someone. Because obviously doxing is wrong. It would, but that's what she does. But that's wrong.
That's what she does. So I don't feel bad for her. But I mean, it's still wrong to dox people. But
why the doxing of libs of TikTok creators? Why the doxing of the creator? I thought it was trying to say why her doxing is justified. I was like, I don't think it is. Why her doxing people was justified.
Right.
Not why her being doxed that was justified. No opinion. She doesn't.
Okay.
I don't care enough about it to have an opinion about it.
Okay. So Taylor Lorenz came under fire for revealing the identity of a woman who had been cowering behind her computer screen to share anti-LGBTQ content anonymously. Yeah, so someone else did dox her.
Oh, okay. And then she must have done an interview after that. Because I think that's when they found out she was at the Capitol on January 6th.
Yes.
Supposedly. I think there's an image that looks a lot like
it does
her,
look like her.
I think it's what I've heard.
Yeah.
So we're
and it wouldn't be surprising, the correlation there.
Yes. But I'm not making any claims.
Yeah. That's just what it looks like.
Yep.
Allegedly.
Yep, allegedly.
So Libs of TikTok content is amplified by high-profile media figures, politicians, and right-wing influencers. Its tweet reach millions, with influence spreading far beyond its more than 648,000 Twitter followers. Libs of TikTok has become an agenda setter in right-wing online discourse, and the content it surfaces shows a direct correlation with the recent push in legislation and rhetoric directly targeting the LGBTQ community. So it's basically acting as a wire service for the broader right-wing media ecosystem, said Ari Drennan, LGBTQ program director for Media Matters, the progressive media watchdog group. It's been shaping public policy in a real way and affecting teachers' ability to feel safe in their classrooms. It's been promoted by Joe Rogan, been featured in the New York Post, The Federalist, Post Millennial, and a slew of other right-wing news sites. Meghan McCain has retweeted it. Glenn Greenwald has amplified it to his 1.8 million Twitter followers while calling himself the account's godfather. That's kind of weird. Okay. Last Thursday, the woman behind the account appeared anonymously on Tucker Carlson's show to complain about being temporarily suspended for violating Twitter's community guide. Oh, so she anonymously went on Tucker Carlson's show at one point. Fox News often creates news packages around the content libs of TikTok has surfaced. The role I've seen this account playing is finding new characters for right-wing propaganda. It's relying on the endless stream of content from TikTok and the internet to cast any individual trans person as a new villain in their story. Throughout its increasingly popular posts, and despite numerous media appearances, the account has remained anonymous at this point. This is a little bit of an old article. But the identity of the operator of libs of TikToks is traceable through a complex online history and reveals someone who has been plugged into right-wing discourse for 2 years and is now helping to drive it. So, okay. So, oh, never mind. That does give her name. So, Chaya Raichik has been working as a real estate salesperson in Brooklyn when, in early November 2020, she created the account that would eventually become Libs of TikTok. Under her first handle, she minimized COVID, cast doubts on election results, and promoted a dubious story about a child sex trafficking ring. She changed handles on November 23rd, this time going by a different name and identifying herself publicly as a real estate investor in Brooklyn. She began doubling down on election fraud conspiracy and using QAnon-related language. Early that December, she joked about launching a clothing line titled "Voter Fraud is Real." Okay. Let's see. Oh, wait. What's this? She started talking about traveling to D.C. to support Trump on January 6th at the Stop the Steal rally. When violence broke out at the Capitol that day, she tweeted a play-by-play account claiming to be on the ground. There were rubber bullets from law enforcement. One hit right next to me. She said she posted videos from the crowd and smoke of tear gas being deployed nearby. After saying she left the riot, she used Twitter to downplay the event, claiming that it was peaceful compared to a BLM protest.
Yeah, so she was there. Like, she admitted to being there then. Okay.
Yeah, I guess so. She cycled through 2 more Twitter names. She railed against Andrew Cuomo, calling him for him to resign. She promoted efforts to recall Gavin Newsom. And she began posting about Ron DeSantis, calling him actually brilliant. Okay. I don't really care about this. I just want to... Let me see. Libs of TikTok gained more prominence throughout the end of last year, cementing its spot in the right-wing media outrage cycle. Its attacks on the LGBTQ plus community also escalated. By January, her page was leaning hard into groomer discourse, calling for any teacher who comes out as gay to their students to be fired on the spot. That's disgusting.
What?
That's literally disgusting. Come on now. Like, you can't even have a picture of you, like, you know, you and your partner on your desk. Because, you know, like, that's wrong, I guess. I don't freaking know. I don't see why anyone should even care, honestly.
No, exactly.
So her anti-trans tweets went especially viral. She called on her followers to contact schools that were allowing boys in the girls' bathrooms and pushed the false conspiracy theory that schools were installing litter boxes in bathrooms for children who identify as cats. Yeah, that's been a big lie that they try to keep pushing there.
Yeah.
She also purported that adults who teach children about LGBTQ plus identities are abusive. How? That being gender nonconforming or an ally to the LGBTQ community is a mental illness.
What?
I don't think she knows what mental illness means.
No, she doesn't. This just is showing how. This just shows what am I trying to say? This just shows how smart she is.
Oh, and
So what
this
was
one.
they?
This one too. She referred to schools as government-run indoctrination camps for the LGBTQ plus community. I mean, any school is an indoctrination camp with or without LGBTQ education if you're going to frame it like that. Like you're just
Yeah.
teaching another subject. You're not like teaching is not indoctrinating. Like I mean, it can, but like in schools and stuff, at least public schools, like it's not indoctrination. It's just exposure to knowledge.
Yeah. I don't think they know what that word means, though, to be honest.
Oh, probably not. So okay. By March, Libs of TikTok was directly impacting legislation. DeSantis press secretary Christina Pushaw credited the account with opening her eyes and informing her views on the state's restrictive legislation that banned discussion of sexuality or gender identity in kindergarten through third grade, referred to by critics as the Don't Say Gay bill. She and Libs of TikTok have interacted with each other at least 138 times publicly, according to a report by Media Matters. When asked by the Post about a relationship with the account, Pushaw wrote, I follow, like, and retweet Libs of TikTok. My interactions with that account are public, and added that she's a strong supporter of its mission. And then they just basically upped their content and like kept putting out more and more of this content, it looks like. Let's see here. Oh, wow. As her account has grown in prominence, Ray Chick has taken steps to obscure her identity. Though she has done numerous high-profile media appearances, she appeared anonymously. However, when registering the domain libsoftiktok.us last October, she used her full name and cell phone number linked to her real estate salesperson contact information. So she made it easy for her to track. That shows her intelligence.
What did she domain, like she made her own website?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh.
Let's see. Oh, wow. I don't do this for money and fame, she said. I'm not some politician or blue check journalist. I feel like there are so many small stories that are so important that aren't getting out, and that's what I'm here for. She claims to have left New York for somewhere in California recently, turning the account into a full-time job. For a while, she was soliciting donations through Venmo. Okay. They briefly had a TikTok account of their own. It was suspended for violating community guidelines. And then it was suspended again. They continue to amass followers across the internet. Over 65,000 on Instagram, 10,000 on YouTube. And a robust presence on right-wing YouTube competitor Rumble. I didn't even know about that. Okay.
I didn't either.
Did not know that existed. And then along with the other right-wing apps like Gab and Getter, they have all kinds of right-wing social media now. That's okay.
It's concerning. A little bit.
I mean, they can do what they want, I guess.
No, yeah. I mean, they can. It's just.
I'm sure the content on there is disturbing, though.
Yes.
It just sounds like a terrible place to be. Let's see. I see a shared spirit in Libs of TikTok and the appetite for it in right-wing media more broadly, which is turning neighbor against neighbor and turning any individual into an enforcer of this very strict gender regime, Brandstetter said. There is a deep sense of paranoia this rhetoric inspires, and it's extremely volatile. It's more than playing with fire. It inspires a vigilante spirit. So she boasts that several teachers have been fired as a result of being featured on the account. That's awful. It's so terrible.
Yeah, they were fired just for being themselves. Like, that's a joke.
Right.
Like, I'd understand if they were being, like if they were being abusive or something, but if they were just fired because they are gay, like that's fucked up.
Like, okay, so Tyler Wren, a former English teacher in Oklahoma, posted a video telling LGBTQ kids shunned by their parents that Wren was proud of them and loved them. It was featured on Libs of TikTok last week. Since being featured on, well, not last week, from now, from when the article was written.
Well, yeah.
Since being featured on the page, Wren has been barraged with harassment and death threats. That is terrible. Like, how can you say that a teacher saying they're proud of their students and they love them? Like, how is that something worthy of harassment, death threats, or being fired from your freaking job? Like, the world is so backwards sometimes.
Yeah, I just don't know how she lives with herself, to be honest, because it doesn't matter if you don't agree with that LGBTQ. I really don't care, but that's another human being that you're doing this to,
right?
Regardless of if you agree with their ideology, and their ideology isn't hurting people.
Yeah, so and it's not even an ideology.
Well, no, I guess, yeah, it's not. But to them, it is an ideology.
To them, it's an ideology.
Whether or not we know it's not, but to them it is. So they're never gonna claim that it's not. So I guess I'm just, whether or not they agree with that ideology, there's still another human person that you are having be attacked and harassed and fired, and you don't care. Like, that's, and then they celebrate that.
Right.
That's sad.
It is.
It's not that. How does, I don't understand how that could make someone happy inside.
I
like,
don't
that's
know
not true happiness. I don't care if they claim it is, but
hurting
another human, no. Yeah, I don't care if you deny it and pretend that the feeling you're feeling is happiness, but that's not happiness. It's gonna fade. Happiness lasts, and that feeling,
even if you're hurting someone to defend yourself, like, it still shouldn't give you happiness.
No, it doesn't. Self-defense is not a happy thing.
Right. It's like an unfortunate experience where you have to
it's traumatizing.
Yeah.
And then they're on here claiming this as self-defense, but claiming it as happiness. It's just...
Right, like, you're not happy when you defend yourself, and you're not bragging about it most of the time. I mean, like, I guess, like, if you're in a fight, maybe, and, like, you're some bro, but, like, I mean, you shouldn't be bragging about self-defense, really.
That's not really self-defense, though. That's more so them, like, deciding. I mean, unless they didn't start the fight, but then I guess that's just weird that you're... Like, I mean, I guess that's that's, like, childish behavior, in my opinion, but whatever.
Yes.
That's what teenagers would do.
Yeah. So the popularity of Libs of TikTok comes at a time when far-right communities across the internet have begun doxing school officials and calling for their execution.
How is that not illegal?
Right. How is that not a call to violence? Parents of LGBTQ youth have been driven out of their towns. Wow. Local school board members have reported death threats. That's just terrible.
And I bet the people living in those towns are cheering.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're living in that town and you're not cheering, you're still part of the problem if you're not standing up against it.
Right.
If you're just sitting there in silence
to try to
letting these people run these people out of town, you support their movement. If you're not standing up, and I'm not even saying, like, I don't, and when I say that, I'm not saying, like, you have to go around harassing them, because I don't agree with that personally, but you not saying anything at all means you agree with it. You can condemn them without being violent. You can be like, no, what you guys are doing is wrong, and I do not stand for that at all, and these teachers are not grooming our kids.
Right.
Because we need, our voices are important in standing up for these people.
Yeah.
Even just you saying it in, like, your neighborhood or to your neighbor, how you disagree with this movement. That's another voice that will help stop this insane movement that is going to hurt so many people who don't deserve it. It already has, but it's going to keep if we don't shut it down.
Right. So, exactly. And so, okay, she's encouraged her audience to overtake school boards and run in local elections. These people She said, referring to members of the LGBTQ plus community, some of them are literally evil and grooming kids. They should not be in schools. They should not be teachers. Members of the LGBTQ plus community who still attempt to use platforms like TikTok to educate people on gay or trans issues are subject to intense online abuse, causing a chilling effect. Libs of TikTok is playing on fears and misunderstanding of who trans people are, while amping up extreme rhetoric and normalizing portraying queer people as inherently dangerous to children, Brandstetter said. It's hard to stoke moral panic without main characters, and the role Libs of TikTok is playing is finding those characters. That's pretty true. Yeah, they basically just find, a teacher who might have like green hair, and, they're talking about it's okay to be gay, it's okay to be trans, and they'll just villainize these people. And like having a character to attack really helps to, unfortunately, bring these people together in making changes that are ultimately going to harm the LGBTQ plus community.
You know who else used rhetoric like these people?
I have a feeling, but who?
Hitler.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's interesting that they are. They're going to be on the wrong side of history. I'll say it now.
Oh yeah.
They already are.
Yeah.
What they're doing is abhorrent. Is that the word? Does that fit that sentence?
That word fits there. Yes.
It's disgusting. Because again, if you don't agree with the LGBT community or their, in your eyes, ideology, then don't participate in it.
Right.
But you do not get to go around calling for people's death.
Right. Oh yeah, you cannot be calling for their death. And you can still coexist with people you don't agree with. Mm-hmm. Like we're not going around saying to take away the rights from conservatives because we disagree with them.
Yeah.
Like we're not trying to turn the other side into second-class citizens or less.
No, because we're all people. We are all human beings. What is so hard to understand about that?
Yeah, I could not tell you why people are like this. We're going to move on to this popular video. So this is called I'm Detransitioning. This is a person who transitioned, decided they didn't like, I think it was about how they looked when they transitioned. I don't know. I guess he'll explain it here, but
okay.
But they're basically like against anyone transitioning because of this experience, from what I understand about the video. So we're gonna go through it, see what they say.
Okay. So hi. First video, I guess, but it's kind of just me talking in my car, because this is the only place I really have to film right now. So I thought I would just do it on here and say that I've made the decision to attempt to detransition. I have no idea how it's going to pan out. I have no idea what that's going to look like, but I'm going to try. And for the longest...
Oh, sorry. I think this is she was born female and then transitioned into male, and I think that she's trying to detransition back into womanhood. Just to clarify.
Okay.
Time I've been holding myself back from trying because I thought I was too far gone, as the infamous video said. But comments from people have kind of made me think otherwise. It didn't help that there were people thinking I was a biological man and that this was all a ruse. It's interesting, that was like the TRA perspective, and then there were people on like the gender critical side that were like, no, we can still tell. And you can still pass as a woman, you still look like a woman. And at first it was offensive.
Oh, sorry, I had it backwards. Born male, transitioned to woman, now transitioning back to man. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay. I was, yeah.
Okay.
That makes, yeah.
And I was like, hold on, if a bunch of people are saying this, and I was talking to people in DMs about this, then does that mean other people have been able to tell? And how many people have I interacted with I've been able to tell this entire time? And people are just being nice. And that kind of shifted my viewpoint of, well, have people been lying to me about my ability to pass? And that, I don't know, that really tripped me up. And the thing that really was the nail in the coffin was there were like 2 or 3 other YouTubers that I was watching while I was transitioning that, you know, of course, like searching detransition, FTMTF, YouTube and stuff, they're now detransitioning. That was kind of like, okay, there's a lot more people doing this, and there's stuff that I never got to do, and experiences I never got to have that if I didn't detransition and allow myself to try, I would never know. And I think for me, in the field I want to go into, psychological space, social work, still undecided about that. In order for me to help people, I can't be lying to myself. And continuing to do this is lying to myself. I don't know what my ability to pass looks like, but I'm not worried about that right now. I'm just worried about being me again, not hiding anymore. So medically, I'm going to try and find somebody to give me oversight, but I'm really not sure how much oversight I'm going to get.
I want to point out, so he said lying to himself. Like, it's not lying to yourself. Like, I guess if you want to detransition, that's perfectly fine. Like, there's no problem with doing that. Like, but that doesn't invalidate trans people who don't want to detransition and who find a lot of help in that experience. It's an individual choice for each person. They can decide if it's right for them. But like, just because I'm cis doesn't mean other people can't be trans.
Yeah. And I think it's just important not to, for anybody who maybe was watching this, don't extrapolate their experience onto yours or what you think everybody else would go through. Because their experience is 1000% valid.
Oh, yeah.
But their experience is not going to be universal either. Exactly. My experience isn't universal. Your experience isn't universal.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's good to be understanding of everyone and what everyone experience is going to go through, I guess. And just be open to listening to them. That's the biggest thing. We just need to be open to listening to each other and respecting each other.
And he mentioned wanting to work in like social work or psychology or something. Like, if you're going to be working with people like that, you just have to make sure you're validating others' identities. I would hope that this person wouldn't go into social work and then work with a trans person and say, oh, like, you must not be happy. Like, your transition isn't valid.
Yeah. I guess they haven't said anything yet, though. That is concerning to me because they're just talking about their experience, which is
and
as long as they're not gonna say anything like nobody should transition, then that's concerning. But if they're just saying, "I wish I hadn't transitioned," then that's understandable. It's not an easy thing to go through, or it's not an easy decision to make at all. So it's understandable that it's a hard thing to go through.
Yes.
Frankly, my faith in the medical system is rapidly dwindling just because of my experiences with hormones. Not hormones, with POTS and the EDS. And I've literally had one doctor out of at least 10 specialists that I've seen this year in primary care that have actually listened to me. And either doctors have been incompetent and just kind of throwing their hands up and saying, well, we don't know what's wrong, it's not our problem, to I've had 2 doctors now in primary care attempt to make med switches or med changes on the same medication that I've been stable on that have resulted in me nearly relapsing and ending up in the hospital.
Yeah, no, I could say that's valid. The medical system isn't always the greatest, but that's something that we need to improve on.
Yeah.
I mean, you should never, ever trust any medical professional ever again. It just means to be cautious and stay knowledgeable.
And additionally, I am being urged by the gender clinic that I go to. Well, it's an LGBT health clinic, but it's where I get my hormones. That in the next 1 to 2 years, if I keep taking testosterone, I'm going to have to get a hysterectomy because of risk of cancer. Which now my conspiracy theory brain is thinking, well, is that because they want me dependent on testosterone? Is that so they don't want me to go back? I don't know. My last shot was Friday, 100 milligrams, and I was debating on tapering down. But I'm on some of the Discord forums, not on Reddit because that place is a cesspool. No one knows it's me on there. Mm-hmm. And I've asked about it, and they've said, frankly, it's going to be a struggle bus. Either way, whether you taper on or off, and you're just prolonging the process by tapering down. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. So I'm just going to stop and see how I feel.
Okay. I feel like that's terrible advice. I feel like,
dangerous.
yes, you should never just stop a medication cold turkey without consulting a medical professional. Like that, like tapering is definitely a better option in general with medications, especially hormones.
What did they mention about? Did they say that they felt if they got a hysterectomy they would be dependent on testosterone? Is that a thing? I guess I've never heard that you. I didn't. I am unaware if hysterectomy people have to take testosterone after a hysterectomy because I wouldn't understand why you would have to.
Right, and I mean cisgender women who have that get hysterectomies don't typically get prescribed testosterone, as far as I know.
Yeah, as far as I know too. That's
I
why
don't think the two are related like that in that sense.
I guess I don't remember fully what they were saying about. I just heard hysterectomy and being
Yeah,
on testosterone. Like they said their conspiracy brain is thinking that is a excuse to force them to stay on testosterone forever. But I guess I don't
and I
see
guess
how
I don't.
getting a hysterectomy would for. But I don't know the whole. But I guess hormone.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
once you've started testosterone, if you get a hysterectomy, then you have to stay on it. I don't know. I guess
yeah. I guess I don't know the
I'm not
medical
knowledgeable on that.
behind,
But
but like I, yeah. And then it sounded like they were saying that like the doctors wanted to keep them dependent on testosterone, which I don't see why they would want that
yeah,
specifically. Like that doesn't really make sense. The doctor doesn't gain anything from that. So like I don't understand why that
yeah.
would be the case.
But I mean, it's
Like it's keeping all the,
conspiracy theories are not really rational usually either.
that's true.
So that's just the like that's more of a delusion, right? That would
Yeah.
qualify as a delusion.
Yeah. I would say so.
As for my voice, it's interesting because I never thought it was feminine, but when I'm talking now, I'm not masking it. There's certain aspects of my voice that, because of being surrounded by men and trying to be perceived as a man, I changed certain ways I talked. Not that my intonation would change, but some of the pronunciation would change and kind of like how I was projecting and so on. But it's interesting because I'm not doing that right now, and at least in my head, it sounds a little more possible. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen when I come off of T. Some people, their voice can go up. If I do voice training, I have no doubt I could probably bring it up a little bit. I don't mind having a super deep voice. If that's the only thing that really gives anything away, I think that's fine. So I'm going to come off of hormones, see what happens there. Hairline, we'll see what happens. At this point, I didn't want to take minoxidil or do minoxidil. I didn't want to take any medications, and I'm still pretty hesitant about taking medications just because I know spironolactone, that is a potassium-sparing diuretic. I know they use it off-label for either HRT or hair loss prevention, but at the same time, like its original use is a diuretic, and because of the one condition I have, POTS, I have to safeguard against fluid loss, meaning that anything that is a diuretic is bad because it makes me lose fluid, and that increases the severity of my symptoms and frequency of my symptoms. So spironolactone is out. I'm also kind of hesitant about taking finasteride, which is a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, which is the on-label use is for men with benign prostatic hyperplasia, so not biological women trying to prevent hair loss. Again, I would have to consult with somebody. I don't want to screw things up even further, and I don't want to fix the problem with more meds, more drugs. But if I could elicit the appropriate stimulus with those interventions, I'd be willing to give it a try. I'm also, if I had the money, I'd be willing to do a hair transplant. I mean, like the hair loss, it bothers me. It doesn't bother me as much if I'm thinking about being a man, but it bothers me because I don't feel like a man, and I'm not sure I've ever really felt like a man. I don't identify with that word. I know I'm using that terminology, but I don't feel that. I've always felt like I'm masquerading. And it's especially hard because I do miss having long hair. I do miss having thicker hair. I had really thick hair. I was always known as a kid for my hair. And it's gone. Was I losing some of it with PCOS? Sure, but this wouldn't have happened. This absolutely wouldn't have happened. And I also don't know what my ovaries and all of that would have been like if I had just let everything run its course. I'm willing to go through procedures to try and undo some of what has happened, but I'm not willing to go through surgery. I can tell you right now, I wouldn't get a breast augmentation. If anything, I might, get a revision and fix some things because it looks like a freaking donut cutter was used to take the breast tissue out. I'd try and make it look a little better if I had the money, but that's if I had the money. And I'm, thinking about my future and thinking about switching majors and actually going off to college and trying to network and do things. And I'm not sure that money for cosmetic procedures is on the table. The bigger priority would be hairline, potentially electrolysis on the face because I have some facial hair. But I also don't know what all of that will look like when I do come off of hormones. I don't know how much is going to fall out or how much of it is going to stay. So, but at the end of the day, I can't help people if I'm lying to myself, and I can only disassociate for so long. I don't know if this is the real me or if this is a chemical byproduct. I am a byproduct of a drug I'm taking because I know that to be the case with Effexor, but I can't just come off with Effexor. Maybe I could come off with Effexor if I come off the testosterone. I don't know. And I owe it to myself to try instead of telling myself I'm too far gone because I'm 21. I'm not too far gone. And frankly, I'm not sure I could live with myself if I didn't try. So, I mean, this is a long video, but not too long. So that's that. I guess throughout the entire process, I would like to update people on here just about physical and mental changes and all of that stuff because I need to try. I need to try and do this and see if it's even possible before I say it's not. So, yeah, that's it. I'd say like and subscribe and all of that stuff. Not that I care about that, and I care about helping people and so on, but I don't know. I don't know why people listen to me, but apparently they do. And as much as I like to stand by myself, and I think I don't need the support, and I don't need the recognition. I don't need anything from anybody. I can be independent and do this on my own. I can't, and I haven't reached this conclusion by myself, and I don't think I'm going to make it to the end by myself. So that's that. That's it. First step is to just stop taking tea and see what happens. Next steps are to investigate permanent hair removal, specifically on my face, hairline stuff, and medical oversight with that, and then just see where it all goes. So, yeah, I'll be documenting that, hopefully. That's it. I'm going to go work on my paper now, and I hope you guys stay safe. Talk to you later.
Okay, so the video itself was not... I just heard some stuff about it. I mean, it doesn't seem in the video like they're really saying... But I did find this article from the Daily Wire, which is already sussy that they're talking to the Daily Wire. So that's Ben Shapiro's network where he's on, and Candace Owens and all them. So they say... Where is it? Okay. So this is what they told the Daily Wire. She said, making that decision to try and detransition has lifted a weight off my shoulders I didn't expect would happen, which is fine. I feel more at peace. Maybe that's just because of the decision and realizing I don't have to live like this forever. That's fine. But, okay. Miller, who identified as a lesbian before she transitioned, now recognizes that social contagion played a large factor in encouraging her to adopt a transgender identity. She was first introduced to gender ideology when she was 16 through influencers on YouTube. You see videos of people magically, as they paint it, transforming from girls to boys. It seems very alluring when you feel like an outcast. Miller describes being gaslit by trans activists on her viral post who claim they never glorified transition or that it would solve all their problems. So, yeah, she's basically just blaming it on a social contagion. Like, she's blaming other people for... And, like, she's saying that they basically, like, brainwashed her, I guess, into being trans.
So, all I have to say about that is, look, I'm not going to discredit your experience. If you saw people who were trans and thought, oh, hey, maybe if I give that a try, then I'll be happy. I can understand that.
Yeah.
Like, if you're really feeling that down and don't know what's wrong, I can understand being confused and thinking maybe you are trans and maybe that will solve all your problems. But that falls on you.
Right.
And your therapist and talking through that.
Right, yeah, you should definitely be like speaking to a therapist when you're deciding to transition and not just watching YouTube videos.
Yes.
Like, or anything with your identity, really, anything.
Yeah, exactly, because I can understand our identities can be very hard to figure out.
Yeah, and they can be fluid.
Exactly. So there's nothing wrong with, and sometimes even like not necessarily having a fully formed identity isn't wrong. Like, you're not wrong if you don't have a fully formed identity. You can still build and work on it, but we can't blame other people for the choices we make. I mean, I understand there's a point where, but basically with that idea, like thought process that they're trying to use. They're claiming that trans is a cult, but it's not, because nobody's forcing you to join the trans cult, because there is no trans cult. It's not a cult. It's just people who are trans and are sharing their experience, just as a straight couple will share their experience when they get married.
Yeah.
And we're just sharing our experiences. And if that resonates with you, then that's okay. But you have to, again, make sure that it's actually resonating with you and not just this other, because sometimes I felt not that, but if I see like happy people and I'm unhappy, I'm like, well, maybe if I did what they did, I would be happy. I think that's more so what it is, more than you've seen a trans person and them convincing you to transition. And no, it's you saw someone who was happy because they transitioned, so you thought, well, maybe I would be happy if I transition. You didn't actually sometimes think about the actual process of what that means, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. There's more that she said too.
Oh.
Like she said, there are varying ways that people can present themselves in terms of the clothes they wear and the mannerisms they have and so on, and that doesn't make them one sex or the other. Whatever their sex is what they biologically are, what they're born as. You can have masculine women and effeminate men, and that's the trap I was in. Which is not.
You can have masculine women and effeminate men, but you can also have trans women and trans men.
Exactly.
All those exist. It just sounds like this person had a bad experience and now they are looking for someone to blame for that experience. Yes. And that's sad. I feel for them, but they can't take out this hurtness that they're feeling on others, because that's what they're doing.
Oh, and then she also says, when you think of LGBT, it's supposed to be all-inclusive and break the binary and break the gendered stereotypes. But it's extremely misogynistic to suggest that if you're a girl and you like wearing plaid and boots and doing male things and have short hair, that all of a sudden you're a boy. The more detransitioners that speak out, the more we will feel comfortable to come forward. We're going to see a huge wave. Eventually, we are going to be too loud. They can't ignore us, and they're going to address the issue. Which, okay, like, sure, like, if you struggle with your gender identity and you transition and you decide you want to detransition, that's fine. And maybe there are issues in the medical system that with detransitioning, but that doesn't mean that there's a problem with transitioning. That just means we have to fix our healthcare system.
Yeah, and we should be, if we're going to address the issue like they said, then we need to figure out what the issue is, because it's not transitioning.
Right.
If the issue is detransitioning, then okay, let's look into that and let's try to make it easier. But I just am always tired of people thinking they know the issues when they don't. And then their solution to the issue is not a solution. I'm tired of that.
Yes.
Because we're not actually talking about the issues. All you're trying to do is put a Band-Aid on it or cover it up so that we don't actually have to address it. Because their solution to the issue is to get rid of transitioning, period. But that's not even the problem.
Right.
The problem is detransitioning and how difficult it can be, whether that's based off of getting off the hormones, whatever it is. And we can talk about that. And let's look into that and how to make that a much easier transition, much easier detransition.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that we prevent anyone from transitioning just because you had a bad experience.
Exactly.
And your experience is valid, and we can discuss it and how to make it a better experience, but you're not offering solutions. All you're offering is hatred and bigotry based off of your own internal sadness or hatred or whatever it is, anger. Although anger is, yes, a secondary emotion, but whatever it is, whether or not you admit it, you have some deep internal biases and issues with the process, and you're not addressing the actual issue, is what it is.
Right. And it would be like saying we should just get rid of open heart surgery because, your grandpa didn't survive it or something. Because, whatever happened. Like, it'd be like banning medical practices or prescriptions or whatever because there's side effects, because they might not work for everybody. It's just not how the medical field works in the first place.
No.
And yeah, the same thing applies with transitioning and detransitioning. So, all right. If you don't have anything else to add there, we're going to move on to this. This is St. Hugh of Lincoln Episcopal Church. I don't know what that means. I think they're Episcopalian. But this, so for all the people who say the Bible says, we have to condemn LGBTQ people, these are just some quotes that kind of from the Bible that promote LGBTQ people. Like, not specific, but yeah, we'll go through this here. Okay. So, nothing can separate us from the love of God, Romans 8:38. This message is for all people, including LGBTQ individuals. So, God did not make a mistake in creating LGBTQ people. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. In Psalms 139, 113-14. So sexual identity and gender are components of a person's personality, and as such are part of who God made each of us to be. All people are justified through Christ, including the LGBTQ people. God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, not counting men's sins against them. Therefore, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, to whom we have gained access by faith in his grace, in which we now stand. This is not to say that being LGBTQ is a sin, but if it were, it certainly would be forgiven. All people have been intentionally created by God. Isaiah 43:1. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You're mine. So this is on inclusion. There is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free, nor is there male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. Galatians 3:28. God has shown me that I should not call anyone impure or unclean. Acts 10:28. And Jesus gladly socialized with people that the religious establishment disapproved of. And that a church needs LGBTQ members. The human body has many parts, but the many parts make up one whole body, so it is with the body of Christ. Some of us are Jews, Gentiles, some are slaves, and some are free. We have all been baptized into one body by one spirit, and we all share the same spirit. The early church can welcome non-gender conforming people. One of the first recorded baptisms by the apostles was of an Ethiopian eunuch. Jesus warned against using anti-gay slurs. Matt 5:22 reads, anyone who says to a brother or sister, Raka, is answerable to the court. The original Greek text does not include sister, and the word Raka is most likely a transliteration of the Aramaic word Raka, which is the feminine form of the adjective that means to be tender, weak, or soft, so it would be comparable to calling a man a sissy, or worse. On relationships, love is a gift from God. Let's see. God made us to be in relationship with him and with each other. It is bad for a man to be alone. It would be inconsistent with God's loving nature to create people who are gay and then condemn them to a life of loneliness. Heterosexual marriage is presented as an example rather than a definition of how God puts people in relationships. In Genesis 2:24. That is why man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. The clause "that is why" points back to 2:18. God creates communities and families, uniting people together. So they're no longer two but one. Therefore, what God has joined together, let man not separate. God can and does create unions with all types of people, including LGBTQ members. Celibacy is good if one is called to it, but it is not for everyone. Marriage is good too. Better to be married than to burn with passion. So examples of love between people of the same gender in the Bible. David and Jonathan. After David had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved himself. David says of Jonathan, your love for me was wonderful, more wonderful than that of women. Ruth and Naomi. Ruth expresses her devotion to Naomi with, wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, even if death separates you and me. That's Ruth 1:16-17. A centurion and his servant. Matt 8:5-10. The word used for servant here, pais, was commonly used to describe a servant who was a romantic partner of the master. So yeah, there's actually some examples of some gay people in the Bible. Or bisexual. I guess we don't. It doesn't specify. Yeah. But same-sex relationships.
Yeah.
So on gender, all people, including LGBTQ individuals, were created in God's image. So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. The use of the two primary genders in this passage is likely a merism, a figure of speech by which a single thing is referred to by a phrase that lists several of its parts, but does not list all components. In other creation passages, day and night are specified, but not twilight. Seas and land are mentioned, but not creeks or marshes, etc. So this passage also indicates God is not limited to a single gender. There are several characters in the Bible who are non-gender conforming, meaning they do not behave according to their traditional gender roles. Jacob preferred to be with his mother at home, enjoyed cooking, and was smooth-skinned, in contrast to his brother was hairy and preferred to hunt and be outdoors. Joseph, Jacob's son, was given an ornate robe by his father. The Hebrew word used here for the robe is used elsewhere to mean the kind of garment the virgin daughters of the king wore. So, yeah, Joseph and his Technicolor coat. I think that's, if you've seen Joseph in the Technicolor coat. But that's a big story. What? The Technicolor coat. I think it's a musical version or something. It's like of the story in the Bible.
Oh, I don't think I've seen.
I don't know if it's a musical, but it's like a movie at least or something like that.
Oh,
but I think it's a musical though. Anyways, Deborah was a judge of Israel, acting as a prophet and military leader at a time when women were treated like property and valued by the number of children they could bear. Haggai, the eunuch in charge of the palace woman in the story of Esther, helped Esther to become queen. Ebed-Melech was also a eunuch who saved the life of the prophet Jeremiah. What is a eunuch? A castrated.
Who was castrated? Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't they kind of like monks?
Yeah.
But monks aren't monks aren't castrated though, are they?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I guess I don't know, but
yeah, and then there's the man carrying a water jar whom Jesus indicated would take the disciples to the room for his Last Supper, was doing work that was normally done by women, and yet was given this part to play in Jesus' ministry. So the Bible contains feminine images of God in addition to masculine metaphors of father and king. God's wisdom in Proverbs is personified as female, and Christ is the wisdom of God. Many references to God describe actions associated with women nurturing life in the womb, giving birth, and protecting children. So yeah, these are some Bible verses that have been used to critique LGBT people. And this is the last one we're going to go over here real quick. When seeking to understand any Bible verse, it's important to know the context of the verse as well as how the verse has been translated from original language. The following are points to consider when thinking about verses that have been used to justify prohibitions on same-sex marriage and full participation in church community for LGBTQ people. Nowhere in the Bible, taken in its original language and context, is there a prohibition against loving consensual same-sex relationships, nor against people living as authentic genders. So Genesis 19, 1-3. The Sodom and Gomorrah story is preceded by examples of Abraham and Lot being very welcoming to strangers. The lack of hospitality and the desire to do violence to the visitors were considered grave transgressions, regardless of the gender of the visitors. The reference in Jude 1:7 to strange flesh likely refers to the fact that the angels they wanted to assault were not human. Now, this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, and underconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. Then there's Leviticus 18:22 here. So the verse reads, "Do not have sexual relationships with a man as one does with a woman. That is detestable." The literal translation of the original Hebrew, however, is, And with male you shall not lie, lyings, woman. The word translated as lyings is found elsewhere only in Genesis 49:4, where it refers to incest. In Leviticus, the verse comes in a list of prohibitions against having sex with family members, so it is reasonable to conclude that this is a prohibition against incest. And that's the really big one that they use. So, and it's always used out of context.
Because they didn't translate it right.
Yeah.
I mean, intentionally, most likely, but...
Right. They didn't translate it exactly how it was originally written in the original language, yeah. I don't know if it was intentional or not. It could have been. I don't know. But and then there's Romans 1:26-27. Here Paul is condemning the sinful and harmful acts he perceives in Roman culture at the time. Since same-gender non-heterosexual attractions are natural, this condemnation is not directed at the LGBTQ people. It doesn't say what the verse says though, but that's okay. 1 Corinthians 6:9 and 1 Timothy 1:9-11. So the verses read, "Or do you not know that wrongdoers will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived, neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who have sex with men. And we also know that the law is made not for the righteous, but for the lawbreakers and rebels, the ungodly and sinful, the unholy and irreligious, for those who kill their fathers or mothers, for murderers, for the sexually immoral, for those practicing homosexuality." The word translated as homosexuals and men who have sex with men more accurately translate to men who sleep with enslaved male prostitutes. The word homosexual is not found in the Bible in translations written prior to 1948, implying that it was likely added as the result of translators' own prejudices. Oh, so you were right. Matthew 19:4. "Haven't you read," Jesus replied, "that at the beginning the Creator made them male and female?" In the same section of verse 12, Jesus says, "For there are eunuchs who are born that way, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others, and there are those who choose to live like eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven." It is evident that Jesus was aware that gender variance existed, and he does not condemn it. Deuteronomy 22:5. "A woman must not wear man's clothing, nor a man wear woman's clothing, for the Lord your God detests anyone who does this." The word translated as clothing here, Kelly, is translated elsewhere as armor, and the word translated as man, Geber, actually means warrior. This implies a prohibition against intent to deceive by pretending to be a warrior, or for a warrior to deceive by disguising himself as a woman. So that's more about, like, war tactics than cross-dressing. So yeah, those are some. If you're religious and you were having an issue with the LGBTQ community, I mean, it's pretty much solved it. You pretty much explained all these translations. So,
well, especially if you just look at it and realize that all those additions were added, so they aren't the original word of your original creator.
Yes.
Like, that's man-made intention. If anything, the fact that they added that in, to me, would be more so them trying to lead you astray than the other way around, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, these additions are trying to lead you astray, not homosexuality is trying to lead you astray.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And then some people will say, oh, it's not natural to be gay, but there's all kinds of gay animals who prove same-sex love is natural. This is from PETA. The Japanese macacas. Let's get one thing straight. Japanese macacas aren't always. These primates often display bisexual behavior, exploring sexual activity with both the same and opposite sex. Female Japanese macacas sometimes pursue same-sex sexual partners. Even if a male macaca is showing interest in them, they just prefer to get together with another female. It's biology. Look at how cute. Aw, little bisexual monkeys. I love it. Penguins. They're famously monogamous, known to link up with one partner for life. Among these long-lasting loving relationships are countless same-sex couples sticking together through thick and thin. 1911, explorer George Murray Levick observed homosexual activity in a wild penguin colony at Cape Adare in Antarctica. Since then, thousands more same-sex penguin couples have been documented. Well known among them are Ronnie and Reggie, a gay couple at the London Zoo. But while their sexualities are as normal as can be, their living situation isn't. These two lovebirds shouldn't be denied their freedom, locked up and gawked at by a constant stream of visitors with every aspect of the relationship. Okay, that's just some PETA stuff.
Oh.
But yeah, I think I also heard that the gay penguins will sometimes steal an egg from, like, you know, a straight penguin couple, and then they'll raise it, or they'll try to raise it or whatever. I just think that's kind of funny.
Oh, okay.
All right, dolphins. Reports show bottlenose dolphins engage in non-reproductive sexual activity without regard for biological sex. And one pod of Amazon River dolphins was even spotted engaging in homosexual group sex. Orgy. They don't need to apologize for who they are. Neither should any other animal, humans included. You do you, dolphins. Elephants. Both African and Asian elephants engage in homosexual intercourse and relationships. Reports show that female and male elephants alike are affectionate with their same-sex partners beyond sexual activity, doing things such as grooming, kissing, and intertwining their trunks, and that these relationships often last years. Aww. Giraffes. Studies show that gay sex among giraffes makes up over 90% of all observed sexual activity in these animals, meaning giraffes engage in much more same-sex loving than they do opposite-sex loving. Male giraffes are especially interested in each other. They're known to rub their necks along each other's bodies and spend many hours courting and caressing their potential partner. Simply put, giraffes are big on homosexuality and foreplay. Alright, lions. For decades, scientists observed male lions nuzzling, caressing, and mounting each other, engaging in same-sex sexual relations. Although less likely to do so than their male counterparts, female lions, too, have been known to love up on one another. Can you feel the love tonight? They can. Albatrosses. Guessing that's this bird.
What?
I'm guessing the albatross is this bird.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I would hope so. Otherwise, why would they put that there? That'd be
be weird.
Yeah.
So there was same-sex relationships documented between albatrosses. Captured a male albatross who'd failed in his attempt to court a female, being approached by a male suitor and instantly hitting it off. Around the world, both male and female birds choose same-sex partners as their soulmates. On the Hawaiian island Oahu, 31% of albatross pairings are same-sex couples. When they find the one, they stay together for life, which can be up to 50 years. So yeah, those are some gay animals. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to talk, finally, last portion here. Almost done. Going to be the Don't Say Gay bill here. Oh my God, leave me alone. Okay. All right, the bill, which some opponents have called Don't Say Gay, was signed by DeSantis on Monday. This is in March. It reads, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade theory or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. So with that wording, like, you could technically include heterosexuality with that too. Like,
sorry, what did it say?
So classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through third grade or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students according with state standards.
I guess it depends on what their state standards are. Yeah. But otherwise, yes, if that is strict, I guess if that's strictly the wording in the bill,
right?
If there's no addendums in the bill,
right,
then yes, you can't talk about heterosexual relationships either, because heterosexual is a sexual orientation.
Right. And you can't talk about being a man or a woman even if you're cis then.
Yeah.
Like this wording in the bill just makes it sound like you know.
And it passed, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. So supporters say it allows parents to determine when and in what way to introduce LGBTQ topics to children. It gives parents an option to sue a school district if the policy is violated. So I'd be suing the school district then, just saying, hey, this teacher said they were straight.
Pretty sure if you... I guess it depends.
I mean, it's pretty messed up to sue the school district or something like that.
Well, aren't you suing the government if you sue the school district?
Yeah.
Because aren't public schools government? But I guess it's not the federal, right? Because are public schools technically state institutions, or are they federal institutions? I don't know.
I think they're district institutions. So
okay.
Kind of like counties, but I think they're a little different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's odd that they're not. Well, I guess people wouldn't like. I mean, I don't. I think they should be federal because then they would be more. Like we could teach things.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole United States, so that we all know what everybody's learning and have the same standards of what we want our youth to learn. Like that's going to help our country prosper.
Right. Having our kids have all different kinds of different educations depending on where they live is just a mess.
Yes.
And it shows in our test scores.
And if it was federal, then the federal budget could fund them rather than the state budgets funding them.
Well,
and
schools are funded by property taxes, I think.
Oh, they are. But that comes from state, not federal.
Right. It's not federal.
It'd be easier for the federal government to fund public education compared to the states. Or I guess, because the property taxes go to the states, right? Or does that go to the federal government?
No, I think
I'd have to look into that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not 100%.
Because I guess maybe the federal government, I'd have to look into it, I guess. But if the federal government should fund public institution, it shouldn't be state governments funding it, because the federal government is the one who makes the money, issues the money.
Yes. And right. So during a press conference ahead of signing the law, DeSantis said teaching kindergarten age kids that they can be whatever they want to be was inappropriate for children.
What?
Which is, I don't know how you can.
So they can't play pretend anymore?
Right. Yeah, like I used to play Totally Spies when I was a kid. Like, is that
illegal?
Illegal. Because you're not the Totally Spy. You're not Alex. You're Katie. Not allowed.
My parents were indoctrinating us by letting us play we made our own little town in the basement. So someone was a grocery store manager, someone ran like a salon. So I guess, dang, my parents would have been thrown in jail for that. How could they?
What's wrong with letting kids be who they want to be? Like, how can you possibly be against that? And how can you hear that and be like, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds good. I support that.
Yeah.
He said it's not appropriate for any place, but especially not in Florida. I mean, let's talk about Florida, I mean, the things that pop into my head when I think of Florida are like meth and alligators. Let's be real. So, like, I think
alligators on meth.
Florida. Yes, alligators on meth, exactly.
At least they don't have that one alligator or crocodile that I sent you. Do you remember that one? That can actually run on its legs like a dog.
Wait, what was it?
That would be terrifying. I think it was a Cuban crocodile, and it can literally run on its legs like a dog. Because like alligators have to like swivel their bodies.
Yeah.
So they can't. But this one could chase.
God.
That one was scary. It would be scary if that was here in America. I don't think they're anywhere here in America, thankfully, but
yeah. So, okay, the Don't Say Gay moniker comes from critics of the measure who blast the idea and insist this policy will hurt LGBTQ children. Based. True. DeSantis and other supporters gathered for the bill, signing called this messaging sloganeering. I don't think that's a word, but okay. And referred.
What was it?
Sloganeering.
I don't think so, but
and referred to efforts to educate students about LGBTQ issues as part of woke gender ideology. Oh no. So studies have shown LGBTQ youth already face higher health and suicide risk than cisgender or straight peers. When those kids are given access to spaces that affirm their gender identity, they report lower rates of suicide attempts, according to the Trevor Project. So the Trevor Project condemned the signing of this bill, saying the bill erases LGBTQ identity, history, and culture, as well as the LGBTQ students themselves. True. They also critiqued the policy's parental notification requirements. The law requires parents to be the first to be notified of any health or support services offered to their kids in school, and allows them the chance to deny those services on behalf of their children. Oh my God, that's terrible, I think. Anyways, these provisions appear to undermine LGBTQ support in schools and include vague parental notification requirements, which could effectively require teachers to out LGBTQ students to their legal guardians without consent, regardless of whether they are supportive. Oh, that's terrible. Let's see. So, yeah. This Florida's HB 1557, also known as the Don't Say Gay bill, should never have passed and should never have been signed into law. This statement read from a spokesperson of Disney, I think. Our goal as a company is for this law to be repealed by legislators, struck down in the courts, and we remain committed to supporting the national and state organizations working to achieve that. But DeSantis was defiant in the face of critics. I don't care what Hollywood says. I don't care what big corporations say. Here I stand. I'm not backing down. The law took effect July 1st. Correction. An earlier version of the story incorrectly attributed a quote from the bill's preamble to the bill itself. The quote has been replaced with the quote from the bill. So, all right, here's what I think about this, though. Like, it's just, this bill is disgusting to me. I believe that showing LGBTQ children that they're accepted and valid is extremely important, especially when it comes to helping them know what it means to be a part of this community and being able to have LGBTQ role models to look up to. This is something I never personally had, and it just hurts me to know that there's like so many children who identify with our community and they're going to be lost and afraid. They're not going to understand what's going on with themselves. They're not going to understand their own identity. And why is it okay for straight people to discuss their relationships but not gay people? Why is it okay for cisgender people to discuss their gender but not transgender people? It's hypocritical, and they don't even care as long as their children are indoctrinated into bigotry, because bigotry is taught. So if no one is teaching it, it's not going to survive. So that's everything I had for today.
Okay. Well, and they're going to lose. Bigotry will always lose. They're going to lose.
Yeah.
They may think this was a win by passing these laws, but they're going to lose. They're all going to be repealed because they're inhumane. They're a joke.
Yeah.
Because I thought America was supposed to be the land of the free, yet here you are restricting people's freedom who aren't doing anything to hurt other people.
Right.
So how is that the land of the free? It's not.
Exactly.
So they'll lose. They will lose. It's concerning what they're trying to do, but they're going to lose in the end because hatred will never win out. It's getting a little rise right now because the moral panic that they're trying to claim, I guess, or ensue. But it's not going to last because once the facts start coming out that all this has been a lie, they've been lying to their constituents. I believe goodness wins.
Yeah.
So, and maybe, sure, you can call me delusional for believing that, but I like to believe that, and I believe that goodness is going to win out. And I'm not saying that makes it okay what is happening, because people are being affected by these laws, and that is not okay. So I'm not trying to like sugarcoat it and be like, oh, we don't have to worry. We should worry about it, and we should call it out, and we should talk about it. But doing that is going to be what helps get these acts repealed, because they, again, are inhumane.
Yes.
So it's unfortunate that this is how it has to happen, but it's what it, I guess, I don't know. We can't do anything. We can't change it now per se. Like we can't go back in time and not have these laws that they've passed go into effect. At least not right. Not it. We don't have time travel at this time in our life, so we can't do that. So we just gotta work with what we got, call out the bullshit, and provide factual information. And I don't know, karma. These people will get what's coming to them. I believe in karma, so
yes,
they'll get what's coming to them. But that's not a threat at all. Not from us. We're not violent.
We're
just
not
so you know. Yeah, I'm not trying to be.
The universe will get them, though.
Yes, the universe, karma will get them. We don't have to do anything. Karma does its own thing, you know. Karma isn't something that you have to enact yourself. I don't even think you enacting it would be karma, because that's not really karma, in my opinion. Karma is its own thing, so it'll take care of itself, you know. But yeah, otherwise you can. That was all you had.
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, you can leave a comment below letting us know what you want us to talk about in future episodes.
And and you can reach out to us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and we do occasionally do some Twitch live streams.
So don't forget to like, follow, and turn on notifications so that you know when we do. Otherwise, we will see everyone next time.